You know, I've seen videos online of preachers talking about lying. And of course, I've been at church and I've seen preachers preach sermons on it. But I kind of feel like we should talk about that sin more. I feel like lying is worse than what we give it credit for, that it actually is a bigger sin than what Christians make it out to be or people in general. I feel like we should talk about that more. Um, it says in the Bible that God hates lying. A liar should not tarry in my eyesight. Okay. God detests lying. What was the first sin mentioned in the Bible? Oh, you say Adam and Eve eating the fruit, right? That's true. But I will say this. That involved lying. Okay. You think about it. How did Satan convince them to eat that fruit? By lying to them, by tricking them, okay? By telling a lot of falsehoods, okay? Half truths, lies. The first sin actually involved lying, okay? Lying, in my opinion, is a form of mind control. Okay, I consider it a form of brainwashing. I know some people don't see it that way. I do. Okay, you are altering how someone thinks and getting them to perform actions or behaviors that they may not have done on their own. Okay, let's think about this. Brainwashing is a controversial theory that purports that the human mind can be altered or controlled against a person's will by manipulative psychological techniques. Okay, brainwashing is said to reduce its subject's ability to think critically or independently, to allow the introduction of new, unwanted thoughts and ideas into their mind, as well as to change their attitudes, values, and beliefs. Okay, that's lying. It's a form of lying. If you were to think about it, brainwashing is a form of lying. Okay, when somebody's sitting here telling you something that's not true, what are they doing? They're altering your thoughts and perceptions about a certain person, a certain thing, or a certain situation. If you believe them, you have a rapport with that person, you believe that that person can totally change your way of thinking. Okay. I consider that a form of brainwashing. In my opinion, that's what that is. Lying is a form of brainwashing. Man, you've got a lot of people who went out there and killed people and done all kind of things because somebody told them a lie. Okay. You have people who've been put in prison by somebody lying. I remember reading a story years ago. Um, a group of people lied, and eyewitnesses, they said this guy had sexually assaulted a woman. The thing is, all these people lied. From their vantage point of where they were at, they couldn't see this guy doing this. Okay, maybe might have heard it, but they couldn't see it. There was actually a big wooden gate or something in front of them, but they all lied. And years later, somebody who was investigating this particular person being in prison went back and said, "Well, how did the heck did these people actually see this guy through this big wooden gate? It wasn't possible." And this investigator went back and talked to them and said, "No, all of them said no, we didn't see him. We just lied because we thought he did it. We thought we was getting a criminal off the streets." Okay, and it's crazy. How many people have lost their lives because of somebody lying? Okay, somebody saying that something isn't true. So I definitely consider lying to be a form of mind control. Okay, you have people who've got lost their life over it. People who have went to prison. You have people who should be in prison who didn't go to prison because somebody was lying or lied for them to get them off. It's just incredible how lying affects society, and I do consider it a form of mind control. Okay, if you think about it, all sin involves some form of lying. What do you mean by that? Yes, it does. Think about it. Okay. To justify sin, a person has to lie to themselves that the sin is acceptable. Okay. Think about that. You got a lot of stuff that people will do that the Bible says is a sin. But these people will sit up there and convince themselves that it's okay for them to do that. It's okay for me to watch pornography. Yeah, so what? So what if I'm a liar? So what if I'm a thief? Okay. If you sit down and you talk to a lot of these criminals, a lot of them will tell you will sit up there and try and justify what they did was right. Okay, most stuff we consider sins, or most stuff in the Bible that says it's a sin. You sit up there and you tell that person about, hey, you shouldn't be doing it. They're gonna try and justify that wrongdoing. It doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah, sin. All sin involves some form of lying. Okay. Sin is often a result of self-deception, which is the act of convincing oneself that something is moral when it is actually immoral. Self-deception is a vice that involves denying or rationalizing away opposing evidence or logical argument. Okay. So people who they commit sins, they're lying to themselves. Okay. They're lying to themselves. Okay. That it's okay for them to be a murderer or sexually assault children or steal, kill, destroy, or oppress other human beings. Okay. They're lying to themselves. And I'll tell you something. I even consider lying to be a form of witchcraft. Now, while some people wouldn't directly consider it witchcraft in a literal sense, some spiritual and religious perspectives view deliberate manipulative lying as a form of a relational witchcraft. Okay, relational witchcraft due to its ability to harm or control others through deception, similar to the concept of casting a spell or curse, essentially using deceitful words as a tool to manipulate situations or people's perceptions. Relational witchcraft seeks the same end, control over others. So I do consider it a form of witchcraft. Okay? Lying is one of the most destructive forces in human society. Imagine if everyone told the truth. Imagine if you could live in a world where you could trust the government, the police, the people at your job. There'd be no corruption, no crime. The world would almost, crime and suffering would be almost non-existent. Okay, because if no one lied, we wouldn't have to deal with it. We could put criminals in prison or rehabilitate them much easier. Okay, but it's incredible that the destructive power that lying has. I mean, no one can trust anybody. You have so many relationships that are ruined because the husband and wife lying to each other. You got parents lying to their children, children lying to the parents. Okay, no one believes the government because the government be lying so much. Okay, and I can't say a certain. We just got done with a certain medical issue, a certain sickness. Okay, that was going around many nations. Okay, I actually did a video about this and they flagged it because the thing that people was calling the beer bug. You know what I'm talking about. You couldn't mention that for a long time. And in that video, I actually said, there was a lot of people who had some very crazy, weird ideas and didn't want to take the vaccine. And they were saying how the vaccine was gonna make you a demon, or you're gonna go to hell, and just all off the wall type stuff. But people was like, "Oh, these people are dumb. They're ignorant. They're stupid. They need to trust the science." Here's the thing: I can't really blame those people. The problem is the government has lied so much in the past that nobody trusts what comes out of the government. Okay, the government lies. It just lies, lie about everything. Government, local government, state government, federal government, all they do is lie. Okay, they lie constantly. The government is probably some of the biggest liars. The United States government, the government in these other countries, that's some of the biggest liars it is. Okay, and that's why when there's a medical issue or a global problem or whatever, that you always have a segment of the population that don't believe the government because the government has a history of lying. You say trust the science, okay, but we have scientists who've lied, who've done stuff. Okay, how many people in the medical field have done all type of experiments on human beings, like when they gave black men syphilis? Okay, I think they were giving something to pregnant women as well. Okay, testing. Oh well, we got to see what the results of this is going to be. Lying, but they lied to those guys, and they were lying to people. That's why nobody can trust the government because the government won't tell the truth. That's why husband and wives can't trust each other. You can't trust your neighbor. Okay, a big chunk of that is lying. Okay, people will not tell the friggin' truth. It's a shame how powerful that lying is. You have people who've lost their life. You have people who've lost their jobs, their homes. Okay, you have people who are criminals or people who should be punished who've gotten away because of lying. Like that's the funny thing is, it's interesting to me that the Bible calls Satan the father of lies, not the father of killers, not the father of thieves, okay? Not the father of sexual assaulters, not the father of cursers, not the fathers of drug addicts, but the fathers of lying, okay? That alone should tell you something. That lying may actually could be the worst sin of all, okay? I don't necessarily know if God sees one sin worse than the other, but I mean, I'm just talking about from my perspective. It's fascinating that Satan is called a father of lies and not the father of drug dealers or the father of stealing or whatever. He's just the father of lies. But that tells you how bad lying is. If this dude is the father of lies, that tells you how bad the lies is, okay? And I think every crime and every sin that you could commit, there's some element of lying there, okay? Because you have to convince yourself that it's okay for me to do these bad things. It's okay for me to hurt people in my community. It's okay for me to be a black man and to go out there and assault a white woman, okay? Or a white man, to be racist. It's okay for me to hate members of my own race. It's okay for me to be a murderer, a killer, child molester. It's okay for me to lie, cheat, and steal and oppress other people. So yeah, man, I mean, it's just my thoughts. But I honestly think in some ways that lying could very well be the worst sin of all, because I feel like every sin that you look at in that Bible involves lying to some extent, okay? It involves lying. It involves lying to yourself that what you're doing is right. It involves lying that abusing other people is right, or there's something that God is okay with, okay? Yeah, it's just incredible. And like I said, it's a destructive force that causes mistrust in human society. Nobody can trust each other because we can't tell the friggin' truth, okay? And it's just crazy when you think about that, okay? And like I said, it's a very powerful tool to control people. I do consider the brain a form of brainwashing and a form of witchcraft because it's a form of mind control. I go there. How many times have you sat there and looked at a newspaper article? Some man, some woman get into it. She goes and lies and tells her husband or somebody else that the guy did something to him, did something to her, sorry. And they come back and beat this dude up and kill him. Well, guess what? She lied. She controlled their minds. I was looking at I'll say this one last thing. There was a story, and there was a young boy. He was begging for money, and I guess there was a homeless guy, and this is the area that he used to beg for money. So he told the little boy, "Hey, this is my area. Get lost, kid. You know, this is where I'm at. I'm begging for money over here. You go across the street or someplace else, right?" So he didn't really have no right to do that. Okay. But the young boy went home and told his mother that the dude beat him up. The guy never touched him, okay? But this put the mother into a rage, okay? She went and got all her female friends, I think even a transsexual, and they beat this dude up with hammers and weapons and stuff, and put this dude in the hospital, okay? So this young boy, by him telling that lie, he exercised a form of control over these grown women. Yes. By him lying, he took control over them. It put them in a blind rage. They got angry. It mobilized them, okay? Even he, but I'm going to say this, the little boy probably wasn't no good liar, okay? He probably wasn't a good liar. If you had somebody who was more intelligent or more wise, they probably would have sat there and examined the little boy and said, okay, grown man beat you up. Where's the wounds? Where's the injuries at? You sure he hit you? You know what I'm saying? They might have went up there and talked to the guy or asked, maybe see the camera film or asked anybody, did he touch my son? I said, don't go up there. But this wasn't a rational person. But that little boy, by just telling that lie, exercised a form of mind control over this woman. And I would say even a form of witchcraft because that's what you're doing. You took control. You move people. So I don't know, man. It's just lying is probably, I feel like, one of the most destructive forces and one most destructive and ungodly forces in human society. And I think we should talk about it more.